What's up, people? I'm Colin. Today, we're diving into the Savannah and Fort Stewart markets with local expert Jennifer Driggers. We're going to break down the reality of military relocation, VA loan strategies, and the property tax hikes hitting Southeast Georgia right now. Let's get into it. Jennifer, we are live. How you doing today?
I'm good, Colin. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Hey. I'm doing really well. I'm so excited that we got some time today for you to hop on. I really enjoyed working with you when we got to help our friend Kylie there. And so I thought, man, let me get somebody that understands that Savannah area outside of Savannah so we can really talk about Georgia, moving there, if you're PCS and any of the military people, anything like that. But before we get into that, let's jump into the agent in the spotlight segment where we're really going to highlight you and your career. What did life look like before real estate? And then what eventually like pulled you into this business?
Well, prior to real estate, I was an educator. So I taught high school business. I graduated from Georgia Southern University and did a small piece of time there at the university and then decided I want a family. And so I went into the teaching realm. And so for 11 years, I spent in the business education classroom. And after 11 years, kind of got a little burnout as a lot of teachers do. And so my husband, he's always been involved in construction in some shape, form, or fashion. He had started flipping houses. And so he said, why don't you go get your real estate license? And I put him off for a year or so. My youngest was a year old. And long story short, I ended up getting my real estate license in 2015. I taught for another year full time while practicing real estate. And then decided, I think I can do this. I never saw myself
Sure.
in quote sales, but real estate and selling homes and helping people in this regard is so much more than just quote sales. And
What
so
got you into business
after,
teaching? I've never heard somebody say that before. Usually it's like, hey, I was a math teacher, a business teacher. That's interesting.
yeah, so I taught intro to business. I taught intro to basically personal finance and some accounting. And what I used to love to teach the kids, I said, life is business. And if you can figure out that life is business, you're going to make it in this world. So I tried to give them everyday life skills in my class. And so obviously that carries over into what we do now in real estate because what I still get to do is educate. And that's what I love about what I do. I still get to help people with huge decisions and moving forward in life and providing them knowledge on how to do so.
Yeah, no, I that's amazing you brought that up because I kind of felt that when we were working together. We did help the first time buyer, right? And a lot of that
Yes,
working with first time buyers is education. So I did pick that vibe up. That's interesting.
exactly.
Do you think that that helps you? The personal finance stuff. Do you feel like that helps you with your own personal business, like kind of be at an advantage?
I think so. I think as a business owner, you have to understand basic accounting concepts, basic finance, basic budgeting. What do you allot for this? What do you allot for that? But it also carries over into to helping those buyers and sellers and making the right choices for them.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, let's kind of rotate back to your market, right? And here's a unique question. I don't know if you've ever been asked this before, but if somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, Jennifer, what makes your market unique and what do you love about it the most?" Maybe break the market down and then answer the question.
I think our market, especially here in Southeast Georgia, is unique because we have so many different facets. My husband kind of likes to say that the Lord made the world and then He took a step back and He made Georgia. Well, here in Southeast Georgia, we even in the Southeast, and I cover about a 50, 60-mile radius. Our office is located in Hinesville, which is right outside of one of the largest military bases in the country, Fort Stewart. And so we're centrally located. If you go 30, 45 miles inland, so to speak, you've got countryside and a lot of rural farm areas, hills. And then if you go southeast, you have the coastline. So we have, as far as our landscape, we are very unique in nature. We're very unique in the fact that we have people coming and going constantly because of the military.
Yeah,
So for real estate, that's nice. It's a
it
constant
is.
turn, especially in the Fort Short area and then in and around. And then we have Savannah, which we also cover. That is, one of the largest tourist areas in the world and in the country. And people like our area. They like the little bit of slow down and the southern hospitality, the southern charm, and not to mention our coastline, which has got beautiful marshes. And because of the way we're set in the landscape. We have storms, but we're often protected because of the
Sure.
way our coastline curves in. So we have a lot to offer.
That's
Not to
amazing.
mention plenty
How
of
far
industry
how far are
and
you,
indus
like, if
and
you had to go to the beach on a day, like, what does that look like for a drive for you and your husband if you just decided to take off and run?
well, if you're going by car, it takes about an hour, whether you're going south to either Jekyll or St. Simons, Island, or if you're going north to either Tybee or across the line and go over into Hilton Head in South Carolina. So you're looking at around an hour, hour and 15 minutes. Now, if you're like us, you like to put the boat in and hop in and go down the intercoastal and run over to one of our barrier islands, such as St. Catharines or Blackbeard. So several options depending on what you like to do.
Yeah, as somebody that grew up in the North and moved south, for me, I live in Lakeland, which is about an hour to Tampa in the Gulf, and I'm obsessed with that. Like, I just being able to be insulated, whereas if a hurricane hits, you're insulated, but then to be an hour and 15 minutes from the ocean is just it's, like, perfect. It's awesome. So,
It's
I
amazing.
definitely feel
Yes.
that there. Definitely feel that there. So, kinda end up the agent segment here. I really wanna highlight the people that you love helping.
I love all my clients, whether they're, just married and first time home buyers or seasoned homeowners and or investors. But my favorite ones to work with are probably those first time home buyers. And because they're so eager to purchase, they are and they're like a sponge. I'm able to, like I said earlier, I'm able to still educate and walk them through the process. And they truly appreciate that knowledge and seeing the happiness on their faces when they get to the closing table and cross that finish line is very rewarding. And so that's my favorite. Now, like I said, I love all my clients. However, first time buyers are probably my favorite.
That does scratch the need for you, doesn't it? The education to help people, sometimes it can go bad, but man, I really enjoy it as well. Especially the military first time buyers. I tend to work with like younger people that are 21, 22, 23, and if you get them and they're awesome, they're fantastic, right? Like it's just
Yes,
so great. They're
absolutely.
so eager, they're so happy. You're teaching them about the VA loan process, buying, building wealth, all of that, and when they get behind it.
Absolutely. And it's great when they come back to you, 5 years later. We've loved the house. We've decided we're going to keep it, but we're going on to our next duty station and we'd like to buy there. Can you help us there? And of course we can't, physically be there, but we can always, send them to a great referral partner. So that's awesome as well.
100%. Yeah, we have, and as you know, right, we have clients kind of go all over the place. I originally was up by Fort Drum myself. So that's kind of where a lot of my clients come from. We help them all over the place. We've had people PCS as far as Arizona and even up to Alaska. So, it's definitely interesting. The dynamics of the military I've learned about more since becoming a lender and helping the military community. But I've heard great things about that area that you live in from a couple of people that have been stationed there. I'd much rather be there in February, I think, than up in Fort Drum, New York.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've got some friends that actually was here, sold the house too, sold the house for them, and they PCSed back up to Fort Drum. And yeah, they said that the winter here was much, much nicer than up there.
It is. I'll tell you though, it's June down here in Florida and it's hot. I'll give it to them. It's hot. That's for
Yes,
sure. I
it
know it
is
is up there
warm.
in Georgia too. So,
Yes.
but yeah, so we've talked a lot about kind of like you and your experience, and we touched on the market. But what I thought is, I want to introduce a new segment today that's pitch that listing, and I want to show the people at home two of your favorite listings you've got right now and really to showcase like some of the beautiful real estate that's in your market. So, what we'll do is we'll dive in here with Grayson Lane. Now, can you see this, Jennifer? All righty. So, what I want to do is I want to have you break down this property. I'll scroll the photos, give the people a tour a little bit, right? But I want to hear it right from the listing agent, right? Like, why should the listeners at home look at this property, love the area, and ultimately, hey, maybe there's a buyer out there that sees this and wants to put an offer in on this thing.
All right. So we have 97 Grayson Lane, and this is an amazing property. It was built by Mungo Homes back in 2021. As you can see, it features 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and 4,074 square feet. And it just sits on just over a half-acre lot. It's in back of a cul-de-sac in one of our gated subdivisions in Ludwig/Long County, Georgia. It's about 15, 20 minutes just outside of Fort Stewart. So it's a great community. It's a great commute in a small community. This is home for me personally. I graduated from this area, and we have definitely grown by leaps and bounds. But this home, like I said, it features 5 bedrooms and over 4,000 square feet. It has a formal living room, a formal dining room, and one of my favorite features about the home is the butler's pantry in between the kitchen and the dining room. As you walk into the home, you have that what I call formal living room space, but flex space. On the left, you could use it as a formal living room, office space. My former clients had used it as a playroom for the kids. The coffer ceiling, the archways are just some nice added touches to the home there as well. You have the quartz countertops in the kitchen, the backsplash, the stainless steel appliances. Everything is very nicely done, updated. You have the LVP flooring. You've got new carpet in the main living room there and new paint throughout the home. What is also nice about this home is it features a downstairs bedroom and a full bath. So it's great if you have, if you have elderly parents that need to be with you, which we're seeing a lot more of these days. We've also got upstairs, it's got a nice loft space that I've seen a lot of people use as like a media room. The laundry is also upstairs, which is convenient to all of the other bedrooms. And so this house is perfect for, a large family, if you will, or multi-generational living. It's
This
still that
beautiful
small
home.
town
And no
atmosphere, so to
HOA.
speak.
No HOA is awesome.
Well, there is a small HOA. If the HOA
Oh, there is.
covers
Interesting.
your
Okay.
sidewalks, your street lights, there is a small HOA. I believe it's $75 a month, and like I said, it's gated, has a play area in the common area as well as a dog park area as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, this is a beautiful home. I love
And we
do
have
you do
we have
this with
virtually
every
we have
listing?
virtually staged this.
That was
We
you
do.
took the
hmm
words right out of
We
my mouth.
we
Yes.
have some video. We do some virtual staging. We do some video. We market on all aspects of social media. We hold the home open, and then we have various different multimedia sites that we spread the platform on or spread the home on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean that's a beautiful home there. I love the stonework on the front. Just looking at it from the front, it looks like just a beautiful, beautiful spot. And I also the AI staging is just so cool. It just gives people a good idea. I've noticed, like hey, some people just want the idea of what would this room look like, myself included, because I don't have a vision for it.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Well, so I
Absolutely.
love that property. And let's give some shout out now to your 226 Cherokee Trail listing. Let's show the folks at home what that thing looks like. So, all right.
All
Can you
right.
see it?
So 226, I can. 226 Cherokee Trail. This comes to me by way of some very near and dear clients of mine. We bought the house together just a little over 2 years ago. He was looking for what he thought was forever on the what is so great about this home is it sits right on hole one of our Cherokee Rose golf course and country club here in Hinesville. So you are about 10 minutes right outside of base and
Oh, there's
conveniently
that golf course
located
there, huh?
to all of Hinesville's, yes, yes, all of Hinesville's amenities, shopping, restaurants, that type of thing. The home has got 4 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms. It's all brick, and it was renovated right before they moved in. It features just over 2,200 square feet, got a formal dining room, a formal living room or flex space, nice galley-sized kitchen, quartz countertops. One of my favorite things, the gas stove and the double oven.
Yes. Such a nice touch.
So, yes, you've got your tile backsplash behind the sink and the stove there, which is very nice as well. Eating kitchen space, laundry room with a sink and plenty of extra storage, fireplace, back
Hey, a
porch, which
little
overlooks the
fireplace.
golf course.
All right. Is
Hmm.
that a working fireplace for all those? I know you get a lot of cold nights up there in Georgia, but
I do believe so, yes. It's just got a really nice large master bedroom as well with tray ceilings, really nice updated walk-in tiled shower there in there's the master there. Like I said, nice tiled shower walk-in. And what a
now is
lot of
this
people
one
like, it's
virtually
all one
staged?
one story. No, this one is still owner occupied. Yes.
Yeah,
Love the
growing up,
porch.
I was
You can
always,
sit out
big
there.
on the two-story, but since I moved to the South, I like the one-story homes, I think, better with the bigger ceilings, right? It's nice. It's
Mhm.
a beautiful
And what's nice
outdoor.
about this community, people come and they stay. So this is one of just, I think, 3 on the market currently.
Yeah, and I think when we started, our first interactions together, that was kind of one of the challenges we had with hey, trying to find something for sale in that area because it just doesn't really happen too much.
No, it doesn't. No.
Wow, look at that. Big yard, all fenced in, ready for the
Big
dogs to
yard, all
run.
fenced. That's right. The storage sheds will stay as well.
Gotcha. Well, that's amazing there.
And then along with the golf course, you have a pool and clubhouse. They have a couple different banquet rooms that you can have access to for family gatherings, parties, that type of thing too.
Wow, that's amazing. And what is there an HOA for that as well?
There is no HOA. You can choose to be a club member or not. So if you want access to the pool and the clubhouse, then you can choose that option. There's also if you would like to be part of the golf club membership as well. So there's various different opportunities there.
Do they give you a discount on the golf course membership? All right, now we're talking. Maybe I'll move up to Georgia.
I believe so.
Absolutely. Well, that's amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time to just break these listings down for us. You never know. Hey, who knows? Somebody could be PCSing from New York down there, and seems like a
Absolutely.
great area for them to really move into. And how do you find
It
that?
is.
Do you have a lot of issues like with things like termites or other different the southern style things that don't really happen as much in the north?
Well, I mean, most exterminators are going to tell you it's not if, but when. So definitely want to make sure that you have a termite bond on any home that you decide to purchase here. Of course, our new construction come with a year termite bond, and it's fairly relatively inexpensive to renew. But yes, pest control and termite bonds are definitely a must in the
Yeah,
southeast.
right. It's interesting. Like I didn't have a pest guy growing up in northern New York. Didn't need it. They die, at about September. So
Yeah, it's just one of
so
those things that you need to do to maintain the integrity of your home around here. Probably
100%,
very
right?
similar to, cold weather and ice in the north. So, you know,
It is.
one outweighs the other.
It is, and it does, right? And it's a yin and yang, and like we talked about, and we'll break down when we talk about our hot topic. I just love that area in terms of like the insurance balance with the taxes, right? Like we talked about, it just seems to be a really, really solid fit, especially for somebody looking with the VA loan just around in that area there. Well, let's
Absolutely.
pivot. Let's pivot now more towards the loan side of things with another new segment I've got for you, which is Ask an LO. So I wanted this to be an opportunity for you to kind of hit me with some random questions that you get from buyers or sellers or anybody in between, investors, anybody that you run into, builders, anybody. What do you got for
So
me?
I'd say that probably the biggest question I get is how much money do I need to purchase a home? And what
Hmm.
does my credit score need to be? Those are
Sure.
probably the two biggest questions. And some people understand credit and some people don't. But what I'm finding is a lot of even our first time home buyers are coming to us with a little bit of knowledge. They've educated themselves somewhat, but they still have those questions. And so the difference, and then what are the difference between the different loan programs? VA, FHA, USDA. Are there any? What kind of first time buyer programs do you have? Because I
Sure.
think that's a buzzword as well.
Yeah. So we'll break that down kind of one at a time. I'll go with the first part, which is more related to like, what do I need to have saved up and what the heck does my credit score need to be? Right. It's a question I get all the time. It's hard. You can go as low as 580 for a lot of different programs. Every bank is different. Everybody you deal with is going to be different. We always try to advise everybody, hey, if you can get your score up to at least a 620 and above. The better it is, the easier it is for us to get you that approval. And also the better your terms are. That applies to your interest rate, but it also applies to mortgage insurance and can even apply to homeowners insurance, just depending on the situation. So really want to try to make sure you get that credit score up. A couple of quick tips for people out there if they don't, have a way to build their credit or haven't thought about it. If you have a balance on a credit card, let's say the max, you can get on that credit card is 10,000. You want to try to keep about $1,000 or less on the balance of that. And that's about 10% of the total spending limit. And that will help you boost your credit. A lot of people, they come to us and they've got a $10,000 card and they've got $7,000 on it. And that's actually hurting your score by leaving that out there. So paying down those cards helps. Always being on time with payments, setting up auto pay on everything is huge and crucial. And then just two quick tips here for people that, hey, I want to get my score up 20, 30 points. Experian Boost is a phenomenal app. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, Jennifer, but it allows you to take, if you have like utility bills, Verizon or AT&T bills, even Wi-Fi bills, and you can add those to your credit report. If you pay those on time every month, that helps build your score up. That's what Experian Boost does for you. And then another technique would be an authorized user technique. So if you have a young kid, let's say your daughter or son is about 14 or 15, and you're like, Colin, they can never have a credit card ever. I can't trust them. Totally fine. But the hard part about credit is you kind of need credit to build credit. And so what we would do for someone in that situation is we would do what's called an authorized user account. I had my mom do this actually for my little sister when she was like 13 or 14. So her credit score is ripping right now. You take a card that you've had. My mom, for example, she had a Discover card for like 20 years, right? And so all we did is we added my sister on as an authorized user. She doesn't have an issued credit card, but every time my mom makes that payment, it associates that over to her as well, and it helps build her credit history without having that 20 years of credit. So those are a couple quick just pieces there for people to boost their scores and different things. Now let's jump into the what do I need for money down? Because that's a question I get a lot
It's a
too.
big question. Yeah.
It is. We'll go segment by segment. So our VA people that we talked about right at the beginning, zero down. We have the opportunity with the VA loan to roll your closing costs into the loan as well, just depending on the market. It's a little bit more technical. It's called the seller credit, as you know, Jennifer, but it allows us to kind of really essentially make you come out of pocket zero as long as you have a strong credit score and you haven't, you don't have too many liabilities, different payments, big car payments, a couple other houses, different things like that. You can also qualify for a USDA loan. Each county in the US is different, the income limits for it. So, for example, down here in Polk County, the income limit for a two-person household is 119,000. So if you make more than that, you don't qualify for the USDA loan. But if you make less than that, you do qualify. It's a little bit more stringent. Debt to income ratio needs to be a little bit lower, but the USDA loan is phenomenal as well. It's a rural development loan. You can really get zero down with that as well, and you can also get a big seller credit. It's just a more unique opportunity. And then the two big ones are the FHA and then the conventional loan. So the FHA loan, you're going to be able to get into something at 3.5% down, which is amazing, right? Hey, if you're buying $100,000 house, you're coming to the table with a $3,500 down payment, which is great.
Yes.
Allows you to roll some closing costs in. They're a little bit nitpicky about things there too, but that's a phenomenal way to do it. And then the conventional loan is the most common one. This is where people say, hey, Colin, that's the one I need 20% down, right? Totally get that. But the cool thing about the conventional loan is actually, if you have a strong credit score, you could go as low as 3%. So if you wanted to, you could buy a $400,000 house with a $12,000 down payment as long as you qualify.
Let's back up a second and let's talk about VA. Just a common question I get, obviously, in our area is, well, I've already used my VA and I bought a house at my last duty station. Can I use my VA again?
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
kept it as a rental property. So can I use that VA again?
Yeah, absolutely. But you really want to try to coordinate with a good lender if you can. And that sounds biased, but what I mean by that is I've had people come to me and say, "Okay, I want to build wealth. You talked to me about the VA loan and building wealth. I want to do that. We just moved up here to northern New York. You told us about duplexes. Let's buy one, right?" So they'll buy a duplex that go in zero down, they move into one half, they live there for 12 to 14 months to 2 years. That's awesome. Let's say that that couple decides, hey, we want to buy another one, or Uncle Sam calls them and says, hey, you got to go see Jennifer down in Georgia because you're PCSing. You've got new orders to go south. You can keep that property. The real key is get with a lender that understands looking at it and running a calculation to make sure you have enough what's called guarantee available from the VA. If you have enough, you can buy several properties with the VA loan, but each time you have to move into it, it has to be your primary residence, and you have to live there for at least 12 months, give or take. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. So basically, the way I try to explain it normally is you have X amount available to you based on your years of experience or your entitlement. So as long as you don't use up all of that in duty station one, then you can use the rest of it at duty station two, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just depends too, right? Like I've had people come from California to New York and northern New York where home prices are like under 200,000 and they come from Cali and home prices are 800 grand, 900 grand, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
they used up more of their entitlement, more of that guarantee like we talked about. So it can be harder. But the nice part is when you do the calculation, sometimes they may have to bring a down payment, but sometimes it's really low. Sometimes it's 1% or 2% of the purchase price. And you could still use
That's
that,
good to
that
know.
VA. So,
That's good to know.
but it's just about that again, that lender nuance of knowing when to then switch maybe to a conventional loan for them if it makes sense. But I'm a huge proponent of using the VA loan, maxing it out to build your wealth and build a portfolio for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've worked with several clients that have done that, and
That's
it's been very
amazing. Yeah.
beneficial. Mhm.
You got a lot of success stories with clients doing that? That's awesome.
Yes, yes. I mean, of course, as an agent, we like those listings, but my thing is I want to help you in what's going to be best for your long term goals. That's always
100%.
my perspective there. Because if you can come here as a property owner, myself and my husband, that is our retirement plan. And so I think as a military member or as just a homeowner in general, there's different stages. First step is, buy that, we don't want to use the word starter home, but buy that initial home as your family grows. If you can afford to keep it, rent it out, purchase the next one and build wealth, because real estate truly is still the one way to build in wealth in this country.
I completely agree with that. It's amazing what happens if you hold a property for 5 years, like the value of it that goes up and all that. And now I will
Absolutely.
just PSA for people out there. Stuff breaks when you own homes. Your hot water heater is going to break, right? Like there's different things that go, there is maintenance. It's not truly passive. But I will say it's
Exactly.
my favorite way to build my wealth as well. To be able to leverage the bank's money to do it is really awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We
How
we
many do
bought a
you
house.
you have investment properties, Jennifer?
My husband and I have, see, about 6 different investment properties. We started buying properties about 10 years ago, 12, well, probably about 15 years ago now. And when he wanted to first buy his first investment property, I thought it was crazy. I was still teaching school and we were living paycheck to paycheck. And I said, "You want to do what?" But long story short, roll forward about 10, 11 years. And I, of course, had started selling real estate. We had acquired some properties and we were able to use those properties and the equity in those properties to buy a home now not far from you in Port Charlotte, Florida, that
Mhm.
we plan to hopefully be able to retire to in the next, 8, 10 years or so, maybe.
No, I
Market
trust
willing.
that dynamic that you just brought up, like that the switch that goes from this person's insane to, "Oh, wait a minute, they might be onto something here." Like,
Yes.
explain
And,
that
and,
first
and so
year after, like, you bought, like, the first one, right? Like, did
what
your
we
purchase go
bought, we
crazy?
bought we bought, and like I said, he's got a very good construction background, remodeled, rented it out. And so we've continued to do that. In the property, we live in a smaller town here, one of the smaller areas called Glenville, right? About 30 miles inland from Hinesville. And at the time we bought, it was a reasonable, I mean, I think we spent $25,000 on the house, put 10, 15 in it, and have rented it out, bought one next to it, so on and so forth. So things have definitely compounded. And so by slowly building that portfolio, we were able to then use the equities that had built in those properties to go to the bank and say, "Hey, we have a property we'd like to buy. This is what we, like to do with it." And we essentially took out a HELOC on all of those properties combined, had sold one of the properties, used it as the down payment, and bought a house on the water. Nothing spectacular, but still, a vacation home for us. And we do rent that one out as well.
That's amazing, yeah. It's amazing what happens when because you'll meet people that of 2 walks, in my opinion. You'll meet a guy that's got 70 rentals, and he owns them all in cash, and he's bought everything in cash, and he gets cash, you know what I mean? And, hey, cash is king, I get it, that's awesome. But then you meet other people that, they get 5 or 10, and their 5 or 10 turns them into 15 or 20, and they didn't pay for the next 10, 15 properties that they buy. So
Well,
that's interesting.
I wouldn't say we're not paying for it because, we essentially took the line of credit from the equity to purchase the other. So there's no mortgage payment on that particular property, but there are still mortgage payments on
Sure.
the rental properties. But the key is to get those rents to pay for the mortgage and the taxes. And that's the key.
Absolutely. Well, let's use that word taxes, and let's use that as a segue to get into our hot topic of the day today. So I sent you over an article, and that was by our friends over at Lending Tree. And what I want to do is I'm just going to share the article real quick and just read the headline for the people at home. And I want to get your
Right.
take on a national level, and then I want to, dial it back to Georgia and what this means for your buyers or your sellers in your market. And so our hot topic today is property taxes. So, an article by Maggie Davis and Becca Stanek with Lending Tree. Property taxes rose in every large U.S. metro between 2023 and 2024. And then we'll just rip through the key findings here. Homeowners pay a median of $31.19 annually in property taxes, which is about $260. Those with a mortgage pay $913 more annually than those without one. And for those at home, you still do pay property taxes, even if your house is paid off. Don't have Uncle Sam take
Yes.
your property from you. But yeah, and then so these property taxes, they've just been going up and up and up, right? And so one of the places is what we just talked about. My friends over in Tampa, they're number one on this list of the top 50 metros here. They're up 7.7% year over year on property taxes, which is pretty aggressive. Denver's sitting there at 7.4, Miami's at 7.1, and then you've got smaller ones, better price cities like Milwaukee, Phoenix, and Memphis, which are 0.71 and 1.1%. And so we could read the rest of this, but really I want to kind of distill it with your knowledge and my knowledge on what property taxes are, what they mean for our clients, and so on. And so what do you think? Have you noticed this type of thing in your market? What have you had for run-ins with property taxes? Give us a quick rundown.
We I would say we have definitely seen an increase in property taxes, depending on the county and the area, is where they've varied. I'd say anywhere from 1 to 3% on average, especially over the last year or two. But the way I look at that is it's really all relative. It's all relative to the economy. It's all relative to the growth in our area. And unfortunately, it's unless legislatures figure out how to eliminate it, it's going to be one of those things. We always, and with you and with going back to lending, I mean, we normally encourage our clients to escrow that in or roll that into the payment so that, hey, I want X house, I can afford X payment. Let's see what that looks like together. And as long as they're fine with the payment, normally the taxes are not the issue.
Sure.
So we as agents, we definitely rely on our lenders and to run those payments and to give us the encompassing amount from just out the gate.
No, for sure. It's a huge piece. It makes up a big component of your mortgage for those at home. That's like one of the main things I talk about with clients right off the rip usually is they'll call me and they'll be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Or, and I'll say, "Hey, listen, this is what, in my area in northern New York, I'm very familiar with all the different tax areas. Hey, stay away from these two spots. Stay away from
Yes.
this local community here unless you want to pay
Yes.
taxes." But people don't understand this, and so New York is actually on here. The median price in New York State exceeds 10,000 per household, And so what does that mean? If your taxes are $12,000 on your home, that means every single month you pay $1,000 in your mortgage payment to property taxes every month, no matter what. And it's likely, according to this article, to keep going up. And so that's when
Yes.
people will call me and say, "Hey, my mortgage payment went up and you told me it never would." No, I told you that we have fixed principal and interest, and then we've got taxes and insurance,
And insurance.
and which
That's
both
right.
of those can go up. I've had that happen to me at my rental properties where I've had my taxes go up and my insurance go up on me as well.
Yeah, I think as investors, we're often the ones that take or feel like we take the harder hit on the taxes and the insurance because we have multiple properties, so it feels like a lot. And relatively speaking, I think on the mortgage payment, as long as we give them from the onset, hey, it's likely to go up a little bit. Keep an eye on your rate. If you feel or you see where rates come down, let's talk about a refi so that we can keep that payment at a reasonable amount and counterbalance maybe some of that tax and insurance. I always, and as you probably do too, is encourage my clients to shop around for that insurance because that is something that is a little bit adjustable. And if you're like me or like you know, have a good insurance broker that's constantly keeping their eye on things like that for you so that you can, hey, this company over here is raising their rate, but this one just came down and it's the coverage is very similar. You know, do you want to make the switch? So having people in your corner like me, like you, insurance brokers to keep us on track is super important as well.
100%. No, I agree with that. An insurance broker can save you a lot of money. Also, on the worst day of your life, if your house burns down, those are the people like you don't want to just talk to customer service robot. You want to talk to
No,
a person.
you want to talk to a person, a human,
Yes, every time.
and
So,
that's that's where you and I are still valuable. And when I'm onboarding clients, so to speak, that's one thing that I try to make a point to let them know is, hey, even after we close on the house, we're still here. You know, we
sure,
have resources, we have people that we can recommend that you talk to for, you know, X, Y, and Z.
sure. Yeah, no, I completely agree there. And then you kind of to pivot it back towards the actual like property tax itself, right? I think I think it's probably the most important piece outside of obviously insurance is important. Like if a house was built in 1907 and it's in the southeast, insurance can be a challenge. It just can. It whereas in the north, it doesn't really tend to be as bad actually. A lot of those homes were built in the 1900s where I came from, so that's a piece there. The property taxes though, especially in Florida is interesting because what I want to touch on is something that you don't have in New York State that is a thing down here, which is the homestead exemption. Do you want to break down what that is and do you instruct your clients to apply for that after they close?
We do. And the attorneys are great about reminding them as well. See, here in Florida, or in Georgia, we're a deed state, whereas Florida is a title state. So here in Georgia, being we're deed states, we use real estate attorneys to close out our properties. And those real estate attorneys are really good at reminding people that by, you know, April 1st of the upcoming year, make sure that you go down to your tax assessor's office and let them know that this is your permanent residence. And if you do, you get what you were just discussing, what's called a homestead exemption. So if it's your permanent residence, you get a little bit of a discount on those taxes. And so at the beginning of this segment, we were talking about if you own a home here versus own a home here, that's where I think that difference comes in is that homestead exemption. Different counties, different areas of where we are in particular, they offer other significant discounts, like if you're military or if you're disabled military, for example, you may not necessarily have to be responsible for property taxes, depending on the county or the city that you're in.
Yeah, if you're at home and you're a disabled military vet, definitely look into everything for getting rid of my property taxes because a lot of states, a lot of counties, they want to help you of all the people. Not a lot of
Yep,
counties want to help anybody
absolutely.
pay less in taxes, but they do want to help the vets when they can. And then this is just kind of a nice little segue too to like the Florida thing where they are trying to actively they're trying to get rid of property taxes, but really what they're trying to do is he's trying to make all the homestead properties not have to pay tax anymore. Because the Tampa example, it really does stink for Gladys, who in 1995 bought her retirement home down there. She's lived a lot longer than she ever thought she would. She's had her house paid off since 2010, and she's still there. And hey, if she's got a $500,000 house, 7% increase on taxes is it's not a low amount of money, and she still has that expense on the property. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. And I do think that the investors will wind up paying the bill, kind of like you said, which I don't know. I've heard good things, I've heard
Well,
bad things.
we have definitely been debating on, do we become Florida residents? We're there enough to claim residency, and do we do that? You know, and weigh the options of would that be better to do that there and then just, not be able to claim the homestead exemption here? What is our better bet? And we're in the process of running the numbers if
If you had
DeSantis
to
really
take
gets this thing passed.
how many people do you think? I mean, maybe not like an amount. Let's do like a percentage. Like, what do you think the percentage of people in northern states, even I mean, even Georgia thinking about that is interesting, right? But like, what do you think the percentage of people that have that in their mind? Oh, wow, if Florida gets rid of property taxes for primary residences, I'm going to move to Florida.
I believe I know that based on what I've looked at and been trying to follow DeSantis's plan, that I mean, it's you roll, or I think you've got to move and be there 5 years before that you can think about it. I think Florida's always been a big attraction for people from the north. And what I've noticed is the East Coast, the East Coast of Florida tends to get those from the New York area on down from the East. And then the Gulf side tends to pull those from the Midwest, or just
Isn't
my
this strange?
experience, which is crazy to me. I didn't expect that when we first bought over that way.
Yeah, a lot of people will say like, I don't know. Apparently, I have an accent. They say I sound like I'm from Wisconsin. I'm like, no, this is northern New York. That's what it sounds like. So I don't I don't know what to tell you other than that. But well, I think we definitely hit enough on property taxes to educate people for a really long time about it. So, I want to thank you again for taking the time. Now I want to close it down with a little closing time. And so, what's one piece of business, life, or real estate advice that you think has had the most impact on you?
Well, going from a teaching career into real estate, they're very similar in a lot of aspects as far as the education and the mindset and having to kind of, be structured in your schedule and things like that. But I would say the biggest impact has been having the support of my family and my spouse in particular. I would say real estate is definitely a family affair. You have to have their support. His support, in my case, has been crucial because, I don't know if you've ever heard the term, but real estate never sleeps. And so, although you have the flexibility of not having to be in an office from 8 to 5 every day or somebody telling you what to do, you still have to have structure and you still have to answer that phone when it rings, whether it's at 6 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, because time is always of the essence. So, I think the piece of business life, that's had the biggest impact on me is just the change in lifestyle and knowing that you have to have that support and that foundation at home.
Sure. Now, Jennifer, are you a reader? Are you a podcast listener? Or are you a YouTube learner? What are you reading, listening to, or learning from right now that you want to share?
So by nature, I am a reader. However, with real estate and being a mom of three, life is busy and I'm on the go and I'm in the car a lot. And I probably, I can put 200 or 300 miles on a car in a day. So, I mean, and we live in an area that's rural. And like I said, I cover a good, 45, 50 mile radius of where our home base is, so to speak. So I do a lot of audiobooks and I do a lot of podcasts. I'm part of the Tom Ferry Coaching Network. So, of course I'm constantly listening to Tom and the things that he's throwing out there for us. But most recently, I have been listening to Beno Ansley. He is a huge real estate broker out of Atlanta. His family has roots tied into Savannah and Ansley Park over there. So I'm always listening and learning on things that are tied to the market, tied to the economy, as well as what do I got to do to be a better realtor, be a better agent, and a lot of that has to do with mindset and growing and building. I have a real estate team, so mindset and growth and helping other people, building other
And
agents.
leadership and a lot of different things I never thought I would,
Yes,
you have to
absolutely.
build these skills, right? Like you have to, and even like leadership comes into even when you're working with clients, right? If you got a difficult one, like trying to
Absolutely.
lead them through and do different things there. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
What So let's pretend we're at a networking session. What does a great referral look like for you?
So a great somebody that was ready to buy yesterday, of course, you know. But a great referral to me is somebody that is coming our way that has a little bit of an idea of what they're looking for. But what what they're I was joking before, but I wasn't. So what does the timeline look like? First and foremost, what does your timeline look like? What are you looking for in a home? You know, beds, baths. What area do you believe you want to be in? And if you don't, then we go through a series of questions and talk about, you know, where would be the best place in our area for you to be? What brings you to the area? Normally referrals, it's because of a job transfer of some kind, whether they're military or they're corporate, or, you know, hey, I've been living in New York and I'm ready for a change of scenery and some warmer weather. Those are probably the three most common scenarios. But just for me, you know, narrowing down their reason and then their motivation for coming.
Yeah. So it sounds like a relocation buyer would be a good referral for you based on what you just said. Somebody that's relocating to the area,
Absolutely.
not as familiar
Yeah.
with it. And we'll keep that in mind for any of our soldiers heading down south for sure. Awesome there. And then the last piece for everyone is where can they find you? Now I know you got a team as well. So like let's highlight where your
Yes.
pages are and where your team is, and I'll throw that all down in the description below as well.
Yes. So we're on all social media channels. We are on Facebook, Instagram. So we're on Facebook and Instagram as the Driggers Group at Coldwell Banker Southern Coast. I also have my individual Facebook pages, you know, Jennifer Driggers. I have a personal page, Jennifer Driggers, and then I have Jennifer Driggers Real Estate. Most of our promotion and information is going on our Driggers Group page. We also have a Driggers Group website where you can link to all the different properties that we have, our listings, and also search for different properties in the area there. You can find us on Google, and we are also on YouTube. So I, as part of my community outreach, love to focus on and talk to our small business owners, really like to highlight local. And then we've got a couple things with the YouTube that we're working on. That you can find us there at the Driggers Group, and then Jennifer Driggers Real Estate as well, and listing videos and things like that too.
Yeah, you know, you guys do really well at putting all your videos out there for all your listings and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll see some clips from the podcast up there shortly, and we'll put
Yes,
everything down in
absolutely.
the
I'm
description
excited.
below. Jennifer, again, I just want to say thank you. I know we are a little rocky at the beginning, but thanks so much for being on the podcast, and really looking forward to chatting with you again here soon in the future. So
Absolutely. Let's do it again.
awesome.
All right. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you got any value out of this, please like and subscribe.